absolute beast. I mean, just look at his last fight against Kevin Hollands. I mean, he literally just ragdolled him. There was a couple of minutes and it was all over and done with. But he had a challenge against Gilbert Burns, and that gives me like something to be excited about. Maybe we'll go a few more rounds than we expect. Maybe we'll see him challenge. In fact, I think we will see him challenged by Kamaru Usman. Kamaru, his respect. But Khamzat Chimaev is a very exciting prospect for the future. And of course, he's taken on a very different opponent last minute as well, so respect to him too.
Nick, do you make anything of, obviously the tail of the tape there shows that one man is more mature in age, more experienced, he's been there, done it and got the t-shirt. Do you look at anything there and take from that how this fight might play out?
Yeah, you've got to, because experience counts for a lot in this game, and when you're experienced on head on wide shoulders, which is what Kamaru absolutely is, then you've got to give him some kind of... He's coming in here at late notice, not to lose. He's not coming for the payday. This is Kamaru Usman. You know, this was a guy that was been compared to GSP, one of the greatest welterweights of all time. He doesn't want to soil his legacy in the sport by taking fights last minute and getting done by a guy who's only had 12 professional fights. So he sees something. He fancies something. This fight never just happened 11 days ago as well. This has been talked about for best part of 2 years. So he's always had an eye on Khamzat at some stage in his career. I think Kamaru's coming here and he's going to make a bit of a statement. Will that statement be enough? Well, we're going to find out tomorrow just how good Chimaev actually is.
What have you made of the demeanour of both of these guys? Obviously, yesterday at the press conference, Chimaev was just on fire, wasn't he?
Well, I actually don't think Kamaru could really understand everything he was saying. He was sort of looking to Dana White. What did he say? I don't understand it. Look, classic Chimaev. He's like, I'm going to smash him. I'm going to take his money. You know, that's the approach. He even went as far as to say he should go on to coaching now. He said Kamaru would be better off being a coach now. You know, look after your body, be safe, etc. Kamaru will have none of that. And just going back to what you were saying as well, Kamaru's just not coming here for a paycheck and exciting fight. He's now got aspirations of getting that middleweight belt. The winner of this fight has been guaranteed by Dana White to get the next title shot against Sean Strickland. We talked about that yesterday. Kamaru's beaten Sean Strickland, albeit a while ago. So you just got to think the motivation for him now is absolutely huge. And he said about Khamzat, he said, yeah, gives him his respect. He's like, he is strong, he is fast, all those things. He said, but I'm the same, and I've got the experience. So.
I think when you look at that as well, because for a long time in that welterweight division, I was pushing for Kamaru. I felt like he cleaned up almost at welterweight, and it was like, right, okay, it's time to move up now, because as Adesanya was there, it was a conversation that he just wouldn't have, and I was like, no, forget about this. This is not show friends, this is show business. Go up there, define your legacy. Izzy's took a back seat now. We've got a new champion, and in fact, Kamaru's got to win over the current champion. The doors are wide open here for Kamaru Usman. All he's got to do is win tomorrow night. Chances are he's going to be crowned middleweight champion and join that elite club in 2024. Sorry, Sean Strickland.
Yes, and sorry, Dricus du Plessis as well, who's
yeah,
absolutely, in my opinion, ahead of him. Yes, ridiculous. But we know how the game works, and a big performance on Saturday night. I think you're both right in what you're saying there. The winner of that will be propelled further forward. And two people that have got an opportunity to propel themselves further forward, this time in the light heavyweight division. We know this division's been all over the place over the last 12 months. We've got a title fight, but we're extremely excited about that, and we'll talk about it a little later on in the show. But who's the best of the rest? Who are the runners and riders? Who's coming through maybe for a title shot in 2024? Magomedov Ankalaev and Johnny Walker have a major opportunity here tomorrow night.
Yeah, this isn't an official title eliminator, but you've got to think with Jamal Hill being on the sidelines with that horrible Achilles injury that they're going to grab their opportunity here. Now, this was a disappointing fight for the vacant light heavyweight title. Ankalaev obviously thought he won. He was very disappointed after that long, 9-fight winning streak to put himself in this position. He gets a chance now to make another statement. That fight wasn't a statement in any way, shape or form. He gets the opportunity now to fight against Johnny Walker, a very exciting, sort of unorthodox style fighter that I think if Johnny Walker makes any kind of mistakes and is too flamboyant, I think Ankalaev will capitalise on it. But for the most part, he could really sort of make it difficult for Ankalaev. And I think it's about Ankalaev being very technical and Johnny Walker finding those openings in order to do what he does best, and that's some impressive finishing.
We've seen a different version of Johnny, though, haven't we, in his last three? He went through this crazy spell where I think he was 1-4 in 5 fights, and his last three he's won, all against top-level opponents. But he seems to have calmed down the craziness. He's still doing it, but not as much.
Yeah, and bear in mind that poor run which he had, that 1-4 run, 4 of those fights took place behind closed doors during lockdown. And what we know about Johnny Walker is flamboyant. He plays to the crowd, he entertains the crowd, he feeds off the emotions of the crowd. And he told me that in an interview earlier this week. He said, without the crowd's not there, kind of like, what's the point in fighting? You know, I raise my game for the fans. I want to get the buzz off them. And it's no surprise since fans got back into arenas. He's gone 3-0 and he's reborn as a light heavyweight contender. This is a tough fight for him because Ankalaev is very good in every department. His hands are very good. His grappling's outstanding. We thought he went into that fight in December with Jan Blachowicz as the favourite. We thought he would be the new champion entering this part of 2023. 2023, sorry. But it just never happened for him. Then he got injured on the night against Jan. That kind of spoiled the performance. And he's suffered more than anybody for that draw because, one, he didn't get the belt, but two, he's kind of fell out the title picture. And there's 3 or 4 bodies in front of him now. He needs to make a statement against Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
I was going to say about Johnny Walker as well, that we talk about his flamboyance, and he's probably right with what he said to you, that he might be toning that down, but Dana White was critical of his last fight against Anthony Smith. He said he didn't pull the trigger when he maybe had the opportunity to, but he said, I wanted a bit of octagon time. I wanted to maybe sort of try out some other things. So I wonder what version we'll see here. I mean, he knows he can't make a mistake against Ankalaev, but at the same time he's got the crowd roaring him on. Will he be able to hold back when it comes to hearing that noise?
I never believed that, you know. I wanted octagon time. Any fighter says that. Listen,
no, you
don't get paid for overtime. Get the job done.
Not an easy man to finish.
Exactly.
You always say that after the event. No one says it before.
Exactly. So we've got a couple of minutes before the boys and girls hit the scales just behind us. Quickly, best of the rest, we've got a couple of Brits on here as well. Makhachev's in town, and obviously we've got Nathaniel Wood here as well. Excited to see them do their thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Nathaniel Wood, I mean, he's looked fantastic at featherweight. It's an interesting opponent for him this time. We were talking about, we don't really know where this puts him. A win over, it's an Imhoff, the best way to say it. I don't know where it necessarily puts him because he's not a ranked fighter. He's very new to the UFC. But I think that Nathaniel just wants to go out there, continue to enjoy his fighting a little bit more, as he talked to you about, and essentially just put on a show. But after fighting someone like Andre Fili, I wonder sort of what this fight does for him.
And from a Makhachev point of view, you had a little bit of a chat with him this week, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm all in on Little Mo, obviously, because you can't not be in love with his story and this race that he's in. He's in a race against time to become the youngest UFC champion in history, and he's got until March 28th, 29th, 2024 to do that. He's finally got a top 10 ranked opponent, which is what he's been crying out for a year, in Tim Elliott. But Tim's an absolute veteran, so it's a real tough fight for Mo tomorrow night. And what we've seen from Mo recently is he's pulled sensational victory from the jaws of adversity.
Yeah.
He's not just steamrolling people anymore, and that's because he's going through the levels and he's about to jump up and against Tim Elliott. But if he can get a win, maybe. I think we're 1 win away from a title shot. I really do.
Well, the energy has just started to pick up in the
weight
room.
Myself here. It's hot.
I can see a couple of fighters just in the annals there. We're getting ready to come and join us and hit these scales and get this underway. Quick one for you. Just a little reminder. UFC 294 goes down on TNT Sports 2 and Discovery Plus. Prelims from 5, main card from 7. I'm going to tell you a little bit about a watch-along as well that's going to be going down, of which will add to your enjoyment. And I'm led to believe that Tom Aspinall's going to be involved in that as well. So if anybody's going to put a beer inside Tom Aspinall tomorrow night, it could go right off. As you can hear in the background, it's all about to get underway, so let's get straight to those scales, shall we, and see who is first up. It looks like it's Hollywood Volk.
Undisputed UFC featherweight champion, moving up to compete for the lightweight gold, Alexander the Great Volkanovski.
Look at this. Short notice. Don't forget the sponsors. Got to get the sponsors in the shot there, Mr. Volkanovski. Great stuff, obviously. £145 king. I don't think he's going to have any problems here hitting 155, even though it is on 10 days. Easy way. As expected, Nick.
All business. Listen, he's always all business. He's never missed weight, never mind a featherweight, never mind here up at lightweight. But he's just in as you can see there, he's just in a real good place mentally. And sometimes it helps when you come in at late notice, just like Bisping did. You're not overthinking it, you're not overanalyzing it, you're not over game planning it. You're just turning up, making weight, and throwing down the next night. And I think that's a good place for Volkanovski to be in.
Look at this. There's the guy that he's going to be going up against.
Big cheers for Islam here at the weigh-in.
Yeah, the full squad's just behind our cameras as Islam's about to hit the scales here. Easy.
On the dot.
Bang on championship weight.
There was a lot of talk at the press conference yesterday. Sort of Alex, we talked about poking the bear about needing the rehydration period. Did you not have enough time to rehydrate? And often, as you've said, we wait quite a while for Islam to make weight. But I think he wanted to go, no, I'm going to get my rehydration period in. No arguments there and get on early.
He's looked really good all week as Islam. Normally, talk to him.
He's at home. He feels at home.
Yeah.
And that's a big advantage in his mind. As you hear Dan, I know it's his team in here right now, but later on the ceremonial weigh-ins, it will be about Islam.
Yeah, and right now it's all about this fella. Again, another short notice acceptance. The former welterweight king, Kamaru Usman, up at middleweight.
Put £15 on champ and let's see what you look like. Look at the strip on him. It looks incredible.
Off the couch. Wish I looked like that off the couch.
These boys are always training. He said he might come in a little bit lighter, around 183, but yeah, he did. Pretty close to the mark there.
Yeah, he did. He's obviously had breakfast this morning.
Yeah, it's the nice socks. Position. He's left the socks on. That's what it is. They're worth a pound themselves.
But looks incredible. Consummate professional, as we all know.
Yeah.
And taking it on short notice just highlights the type of character that Kamaru Usman is.
Absolute pro. Here is the big man.
Here's Johnny.
He's absolutely gigantic.
Paul Craig even went down to middleweight because he said facing Johnny Walker just felt huge, didn't he?
I bet you that Barnett weighs a good couple of pounds.
Morning, did he?
I like these scales. Yeah, everyone's making championship. I love it.
Well done, Johnny Walker. Guess who's next?
It's not, is it?
It's
not, is it?
It's the bomb baddie.
Yeah,
here he comes.
One of two bomb baddies on this card, might I just add.
I mean, this is his new home now, isn't it? So he'll have that crowd support, as he always does here anyway.
Yeah, and obviously last time out, when we saw Khamzat hit those scales, he was supposed to hit 171. That was down at welterweight. Missed it drastically and ended up having a fight switch on the last minute. This time, he's up a bit of weight.
Yeah, fighting the former welterweight champion. Funny how these things turn out, isn't it?
Boom.
There you go. So a pound difference between Kamaru and Khamzat.
I tell you what, the two of them look absolutely phenomenal. And you look at the strip on both him and Kamaru, you think, how did these guys get £15 off that? You know, where's the stone and a bit coming off that shape?
Well, it's purely water weight. I mean, they're usually so sucked in, aren't they?
Ikram Aliskerov, who's on the main card, taking on Wally Alves.
Yep.
Alves coming in as a late replacement for Chimaev, but
6-fight winning streak.
He's so good. He's such a good fighter. Former multiple-time world Sambo champion.
Yeah. And his only loss is to Khamzat Chimaev many years ago in a different promotion.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounded like he brought the scales then.
Let's not do that.
And here's his opponent.
Another guy that's come in at late notice.
Yeah, fairly late notice.
On the card, yeah. He's come in. He won Tough Brazil a couple of years ago, but he's he hasn't really been able to put the wins together since. But he has a consistent finisher, both with his hands and with his submission game. So.
He replaces Nazardine Imavov.
It's a shame that fight fell off, actually, because Imavov is an extremely good talent. I wanted to see that matchup. Yeah, Alice got off. But it is what it is. Yeah. And the show rolls on. And this guy is going to be kicking off the main card. So this is what I like. Ladies and gentlemen, this is good. We're good organisation, everybody. Let's get everybody through on this main card so we can all go home nice and happy.
Well, no, it doesn't work that way. You know that. There'll be one or two that leave it till the end.
Khamzat's weighed in. I'm confident now. We're going to rattle through these.
Yeah. He's off a loss, but he had a 4-fight winning streak before that, so he'll be looking to get back to winning ways against Muin Igafarov.
Listen, this is a big opportunity for him. Kicking off a main card, pay-per-view.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a lot of attention on Kobe. That's a big opportunity for him to make a name for himself tomorrow.
That loss as well was against Jonathan Martinez, who's really surging through this weight division, and that was a points decision as well. So, here's his opponent straight away as well.
Coming in pairs, aren't they?
Yeah, who's organised this? This is tremendous.
They're very organised here in the Middle East.
Very good. I like this.
This guy's got 18 wins, 17 finishes on his record, so do not blink.
Let's go! But still looking for his first UFC win.
Yeah, and you know what? He's got 5 losses on his record, all on points, so he can't be finished, but he is a finisher.
We're a little bit further down the card now. Victor Henry coming our way.
La Mongosta.
The Mongoose. That's his nickname, by the way. I'm not calling him that. Trained by Josh Barnett, who actually gave him that nickname.
Well, that's how you get a nickname. When a legend gives you a nickname, you can't nickname yourself. You need someone like a Josh Barnett to give you a nickname. That's legit. Absolutely legit.
Trevor Pickett in the scales.
This is another guy with heavy hands, undefeated in his first 8 fights. Lost his last fight, suffered his first defeat against Chimaev Mariscal. That was in Florida earlier this year. But you know what? It was fight of the night. It was unreal. And even though Mariscal was a little bit sharp, a little bit neater with his grappling, Trevor Peet threw the kitchen sink at him for the entire fight. Super entertaining guy.
She's on a 3-fight skid, so she'll be looking for a win here. She's got 14 years on her opponent. Possibly will rely on some experience here to get back in the win column.
She's also she's got a master's degree in radiology. There you go. There's
Do you know something?
the socials team.
She works in nuclear medicine. I read that as well.
When we do these shows, the facts that you come up with, mate, are absolutely mind-blowing.
Incredible.
One step further, what does working in nuclear medicine involve?
No idea, but I think it's one of them if you ask.
Sounds impressive.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Now then, Tim Elliott taking on Makhachev.
The man to stop the dream.
Absolutely.
Or he'll be wanting to stop the hype train.
He's in great nick.
He is. And he's in sensational form as well. You know,
I mean, he's fought the best of the best.
Of course he has.
Division.
Well, he's won 4 of his last 5, and the only loss was against Mateus Nicolau, who's just been in a flyweight title eliminator. That's where Tim Elliott is right now in his career. This is a real Indian summer for him. So he will have everything Makhachev, all the noise Mo creates, and arguing in the lifts and everything else, and eyeballing across the room. Tim Elliott's seen all that before. He's a veteran.
I've actually seen him bump into each other on a couple of occasions this week, Tim Elliott and Makhachev, and there seems to be that respect.
Of course.
Can we just say something about this gentleman here? We've got to feel for him, haven't we? That's Gamrot. Will he be back up fighting? Yes, absolutely.
But you won't be stepping in.
And then when the fight actually falls off, he must get extremely excited about it, and then he doesn't get the call. But hopefully he gets his opportunity.
The fact he's
getting paid to weigh in. Yeah.
If Islam is successful tomorrow, he's got to be the next challenger for Islam come 2024.
At 155.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's what he's done by coming out here. He's secured a paycheck, but he's also secured the fact that he is, across the board now, quite clearly the next contender in the lightweight division.
Well, it's one of the reasons Colby Covington's got the next shot at Leon Edwards. He turned up and he weighed in, and the UFC think very highly of that. If
you have got up incredibly early to come and join us for the UFC 294 weigh-ins, I can tell you on that main card everybody's come through, bar Mr. Ankalaev and Gufrov. Was just waiting for those guys to Gufrov has come through, but we're still waiting for Magomed Ankalaev. We haven't seen Mohamed Makhachev or Nathaniel Wood as of yet, so once they get through we'll get you on the we'll obviously bring them to you. And we're also going to be speaking to some of the fighters that have already weighed in. Fingers crossed we'll get our hands on Mr. Volkanovski, because I want to know his diet plan. 26 pounds in 11 days. That sounds incredibly attractive to me, you know what I mean? Especially if you're in the beach.
You think you put that on in?
I just think that's his normal walk-around weight, isn't it? About 180, 181 pounds or whatever it is, and him having to do 26 pounds in 11 days.
Cut a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, cut a little bit. You see it in the face.
Absolutely. But like I said, I want to know that diet plan to see if we can use that at some point for my holidays in the not too distant future. Now then, do you want a little bit of fun?
Go on.
Because whilst we've been out and about this week and having a little bit of a chat amongst ourselves, you know what the conversations are like with our team. They all go, who's got most power in the UFC? Who's got the best chin in the UFC? Who's got the most heart? Because this conversation started about gas tanks. I'll come back to this thought in a moment or two. Bruno Silva's here. Right, okay.
Veteran of the sport, four-fight skid at the moment. This is a must-win fight for him.
Talk to me about his opponent.
That might be the first time a lot of viewers have seen the opponent's name, Shara Magomedov, a.k.a. The Bullet. We will see him on the scales, hopefully, shortly. But let's just say he's a character. We'll tell his story when he turns up, but he's a character, kids. Wait and see.
Cedric Dumas.
The Reaper. Did he steal his name from Robert Whittaker?
There's a lot of guys with finishes on this. 6 finishes and 8 wins as the Reaper got. There's a lot of guys on here, you know, the judges tomorrow night could have the easiest UFC event in a long time.
Mr. Basharat about to take the scales. We're claiming him, aren't we?
Absolutely.
He's London, is Javid.
I know him and his brother are based here in Las Vegas. Based in Las Vegas, not here.
Spent a lot of time knowing him.
But that was only to unlock the opportunities with Dana White's Contender Series, with the UFC. Listen, if you live in Las Vegas, if a fight falls off late notice, guess what? You're in the best position possible. And the two of them left London shoe fighters, moved to Las Vegas, and that exact thing has happened. And they both now on the roster. They're both now winning. Obviously, he's here this weekend. Of course, we're claiming him.
14-0, undefeated.
Incredible.
We like claiming winners, don't we?
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Incredible talent, but he's in a fight this weekend.
Of course, he's in a fight this weekend. Victor Henry's no pushover for anybody. As we talked about earlier, he's coached by one of the biggest legends who's ever been in the sport. So yeah, it's a test for him. But from what we've seen so far, he's ready for the test. He's looked brilliant.
Right. I'm going to go back to the start of the show when I asked you about pound for pound legendary status. Because you brought up... Listen,
going back to our game, sorry.
No, well, you brought up a valid point there, because obviously we don't make the pound for pound rankings. It's an accumulation of loads of media people and then make their votes. For me, this is the pound for pound #1 fight. Pound for pound conversation and the GOAT conversation are two different conversations, but they've obviously put John Jones in at #1. And we went back and forth there. Is it the pound for pound #1 fight, do you think, this weekend?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question back. What's the reason for it not being John Jones?
Activity.
Okay.
In 4 years or whatever.
Yeah.
You beat Cyril Gane, who has never been a UFC champion. So you look at the caliber of the opponents.
Is that a category? Is that a criteria?
It's got to be, because this is not the greatest of all time debate. The greatest of all time debate, the GOAT debate, has to be your entire body of work.
And I think he wins that.
Yeah, of course. I think John is the leader of that. The pound for pound debate has to be the form you're in right now. What have you done for me lately? Who are the type of people you're beating now, and how are you beating them?
We've got a situation on the scales right now, as Victoria Dudakora has just missed by a pound. She's asking for the towel. She's asking for a towel, so she's asking for
was she 117?
The shower curtain.
She was 117?
She was a pound over, yeah. So they'll bring that in. She'll strip down and see if she can get close to the allowed weight.
This is the first time as a pro she will have missed weight. Hopefully she doesn't. You'd be surprised how heavy those pants and shorts can actually be. But this would be a big setback for her, because you know, she's in real good form right now. She's undefeated in her professional career. When you look at her amateur credentials as well, world amateur champion, European amateur champion, you know, she's had like 16 fight unbeaten run right now when you look amateur and pro. And this was her opportunity to make a big name this weekend. The last thing you want to do is miss weight.
She won her UFC debut. What was it?
0.6.
I was going to say your pants don't weigh that much.
No. She may go away.
But her UFC debut win was the doctor's stoppage, though. Correct. I didn't watch the fight, so I don't know if sort of she caused the injury or if it was an accident.
An elbow injury, yeah.
Oh, right. So she'll be wanting to sort of stamp a
She
solid win.
wants a true rival.
Yeah.
We will keep you up to date with that situation.
That's not too much to lose, is it?
Well, we've got an allotted time for a reason. It's going to be interesting to see what her attitude is to going forward. If she's cooked herself to this particular point, 0.6, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there, is there? So we'll find out a little bit more information about that and pass that.
Let's have a look at her face, how drawn she looks.
The fact she's marched off the scales, usually when a fighter's accepts they're not going to take any more weight off, they will pose for the cameras. So the fact that she's left, I think she's thought, you know what, I've got at least an hour and 45 minutes for the official weigh-ins, never mind any extended period, so I'm going to go away and get it off.
You cut the hair off.
Oof.
Do you?
Full Rose Namajunas, full G.I. Jane, go for it.
Anyway.
Depends how much you want that money. You don't want to give up your purse.
That's it. Expensive haircut.
Absolutely, indeed. Just back on that GOAT versus pound for pound conversation. I'd say John Anik must be listening to me. He must be thinking to himself, I don't want Catterall to talk today. All right. Well, to be fair, fighters weighing in is far more important. Is Nathaniel?
What did he call this? His lucky 10th fight in the UFC.
And
featherweight suits him, doesn't it?
I was just about to say the exact same thing. Do you know something? Obviously, he was on Fight Island against Casey Kenny in the weight division below. And he came up short. Listen, it was a competitive fight and he did extremely well in that fight. He just came up short. Yeah. But his move since to featherweight, I think he's just looked brilliant. Speed is the thing that is notable. Yes, there's bigger guys in there, but the speed that this guy's brought up to this division is tremendous.
Yeah, and you know, Chimaev, who he's facing this weekend, is a bigger guy. He debuted in the UFC at lightweight, so this is a guy he's naturally a featherweight, don't get me wrong, but he has competed even higher. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about size when you've got speed and you're as intelligent as Nathaniel Wood. He's a very intelligent fighter, and he's brought that to the featherweight division. And that's why he's knocked up 3 really strong wins. All the 3 of the guys he's beaten are established names in this weight division. So, yes, Chimaev's more than because he's only had 1 fight in the UFC. But this is kind of like Nathaniel saying to the UFC, okay, you've given me a couple of names, now you're giving me a guy that's new to the... If he does a number on Chimaev, that's when Nathaniel and his team say to UFC, right, okay, we've played the game how you want, we're 4-0 now, time to get a ranked opponent, and he'll get one.
Yeah.
Who do you think he should go for next? Who should he call out?
Don't give me a battle of Britain. Don't be bringing any other British fighters for a battle of Britain.
I want to see the Murphy fight.
Yes, is that beef still there? Or have they sort of let that go?
No, I think it's worse. I think it's worse, yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous fight, that, though, isn't it? And again, we're really blessed, especially from a British point of view at 145. You've just mentioned Laurent's name there. You've got Jack to bring into the conversation.
GSP, absolutely.
There's so many top-quality British 145ers.
When you're talking about next...
Wait a minute. Speaking of quality 145ers, I know he's not British, but we're claiming him anyway. Bring him in here, right? Listen, I've just been speaking, Mr. Volkanovski, okay? 26 pounds in 11 days.
Yep, 26.5, I think.
Right then, come on then, mate. Give me the diet plan because I need that for the beach when I eat it next year, son.
Pretty impressive, but obviously I was holding a lot of water. I was on a little holiday with the fam, and I was enjoying it. You know what I mean? Enjoying the sun and a couple of drinks and eating very well. But it was funny. I had a day head start though before I got the call up because I seen that weight. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not happy with how heavy I was. So I had a day head start. So literally when I did get the phone call, I was like a kilo or 2 lighter. I was like 2 kg, maybe even more lighter. So I was like, oh, no, it's not as bad as yesterday. Yeah, we'll get it. Look, we had to move some kilos, but, mate, my body just knows. It literally does it. I flipped a switch and the weight went off and my body just kicked into gear.
Compared to other fight weeks where you've had that full camp, what's your mentality been like this week? And when we see you smiling, having fun, but how different's the whole experience been?
Has been a little bit different. I think it is, again, I just don't feel exhausted. It went quick. Fight week went so quick. It's like, man, how quickly do I get to go on the scale and drink? So I'm like pretty happy with that. I think it's the excitement. So it's a different mindset with the fact where I'm not exhausted physically, mentally. A lot of people will be like, oh, yeah, but you need to do the preparation. You're right. Obviously that is very ideal. But, mate, I've been doing this for 12 years consistently. You know what I mean? I don't think I miss a beat. I turn up in the gym. Even if I do have a holiday, I come back, I'm still doing well in the gym. So I back myself every single time, and I proved that last week. As soon as I got the phone call and I was in the sessions, literally, mate, I felt great. I don't know if you know, I probably already told you, but I broke my records in the jumping. It was like I've never jumped that high. It was like my body knew we need to turn it up. Let's go. So
flying knee to start the fight.
Mate, I think so. You know what I mean? I think so.
A lot of the conversation, Volk, with ourselves this morning and kind of all week has been Saturday night's not round number 1. Saturday night is round number 6. What does that mean? Does that mean we're coming in with a different kind of... Because your energy, 3, 4 and 5 in Perth was different from your energy in 1 and 2. Does that mean we're going to get the same energy from you that ended round number 5 in round number 1 here? Well, going to go for him?
Well, I've got no choice, right? Like, let's be real. I've got no choice. This is a short notice, so I've got to go for the kill. Kill or be killed. It is sort of that mindset, which is why I'm most dangerous when we talk about this mindset. But the beauty of that is, go back to February, afterwards I'm saying like pretty much what I plan on doing is what I wanted to do anyway. Yeah. So it's just gave me a more clear direction to do what I said I wanted to do back in February anyway. I know I gave him too much respect, which was respect deserved, but I gave him too much respect. I could have backed myself, and tomorrow night I got no choice but to back myself, go full steam ahead and then get that finish.
I've got something for you here, right?
Oh, okay.
Obviously, lightweight championship to become a dual weight champion is a thing. Pound for pound number 1 status solidified. That's another thing. But check this out for an interesting UFC historical stat, right? Ooh. No man ever between 125 pounds and 155 pounds has won or defended a UFC title. I know that you've just turned 35 years of age, mate. You could defy science tomorrow, my friend.
Oh, okay. They're always at the 35-year-old champion thing. Okay, yeah. I know about that. There's a few of them. I think the the UFC cover curse, and as I've said,
broke the Drake. Was it the Drake?
Yeah, the Drake curse. I think
you just keep breaking all these curses.
Yeah, mate, I mean, that's what I'm like chasing them. Like, as what people are saying, I'm like, what else is there? Go bring it on. I'll take them all on. You know what I mean? Like again, it's funny. I used to probably care about that. Like, you know, you wear your undies. I'm like, oh no, I forgot my undies. I'm going to lose. You know what I mean?
Lucky socks.
But yeah, exactly right. Where now it's just like, all right, look, you know what I mean? I back my skills. I didn't lose because, I mean, I didn't win because I wore my lucky undies. You know what I mean? I won because...
You brought your lucky undies? Have you brought them?
I don't have certain undies now, so it's all good.
Just last one. What's the next 24 hours like for you? Is it completely relaxed? You've got great energy around your team. Do you like to be around people?
That's how it is. It just stays like that fight week. You know, some people like to be very serious. We like to keep it playful. And you know, a bit of banter and have a good time, and that's it. And that's going to be the case literally till I walk.
Yeah.
Literally. So we're backstage and we're pretty much having a laugh. You know what I mean? So people that are usually in our rooms, hopefully they're all good with that, because we're you know, some of them want to be serious and that, where we like to have a laugh. Obviously it is fight time. We won't be carrying on too much, but at the same time, you know, we don't want to go out there and, like, you know, be I don't know, that's one thing that I don't get. I've always said this. A lot of people go in and, you know, they'll sit in the corner, listen to crazy music, don't talk to anyone, and I'm like, do you do that in the training every day? Sorry, my ears are blocked. You know what's going on? Yeah, so do you do that in training every day? I mean, like, because that's as close to fighting as you're going to get. Like, why are you putting yourself in a whole different mindset? You know, a whole different frame of mind, you know? I don't get that. For me, it's, you know, literally do what you always do. You know, I like to be composed, and I've got a job to do. I stay composed so I can stick to a game plan. That's why you see people lose their head, I think. I think they think being angry and serious is more important. I don't get that.
No. Listen, when we hear men at work start ringing around that arena tomorrow, mate, party time. Listen, we're going to let you go off and get fully rehydrated with the gang and what have you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, sleep well, my friend, and thank you for being you and putting this on.
Beers, Cheers, thank you. I'll see you later.
Write that down. Nice one, Alex. Beautiful stuff. Alexander Volkanovski there. Nice and early. Weighed in. Absolutely. Smashed it to pieces. But the mentality of the fella. You just can't help but just admire the mentality of one willing to risk legacy moments and take that opportunity for tomorrow night.
You don't know if you're going to get the opportunity again. Look what's happened to Dricus du Plessis in the middleweight division. He was injured, obviously, and it moves on. Alex said himself, if I don't take this, there's every chance Islam goes, I know I want a shot at that 170 belt, and then the opportunity's gone forever. So I think sometimes in life, in sport, you just have to take your chance, and that's what he's doing.
Listen, a happy fighter's a dangerous fighter, but you know who else is a dangerous fighter? A guy who knows at the peak of his athletic prime, and that's where Volk knows he is right now. So take every opportunity that's coming your way. When you're feeling as good as he is, when he feels like, you know what, I'm never going to get any better than this. We often say to fighters, where are you? You know, you're at 90%, 100%. Right now he feels like he's running at 100%. This is the best version of Volkanovski we're ever going to see, and every opportunity to show the world that performance, he's going to take it with both hands.
Now, one man that is helping one of our favourite British fighters at the moment is, funnily enough, one of our old favourite British fighters. Stood right behind us. Shall we bring him in? Let's bring in One Punch. Main man.
Hey, Brad.
Listen, Brad.
It doesn't line get to hug.
Yeah.
We haven't seen each other for a while.
Come on, son. Come on, there you go, Brad. Great to see you, man.
You've been cutting weight as well.
I was, yeah.
Solidarity.
Yeah, for me, though, I could drink, you know, I don't have to make the weight. So
those days are behind you.
A lot easier for me.
We've just been waxing about Nathaniel's move to this weight division and how good that, from a speed point of view, you must be incredibly impressed with the way that he's taken to this weight division.
I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit sceptical to start off with. Oh, you sure? But then, like, as soon as I saw it in action, I'm like, mate, it's like, for me, speed kills. And for me, size makes a difference when it comes to the grappling sort of rounds.
Yeah.
And at the moment, he's been doing so well on his feet. And he's been predominantly matched up with good strikers. And striking, he's like next level for me.
You did it the other way round, didn't you? Then went down a weight towards the end of your career. But in him going up, is he a happier fighter? Are you experiencing a different side of him, especially during a fight week?
But then you learn from my mistakes. I went down a weight class because obviously I wanted to get a title shot at flyweight. But then I realised, man, this weight class is not for me because people were too quick for me. I was getting older in my age, and I'm just like chasing people around the cage. Where now Nathaniel has that speed advantage, so not only these speed advantages is his work rate and effort. I mean, like, he could just keep it. And people were like, start off really well, and then realise, oh, you're going to keep this pace again, or in the third, you can keep this. Yeah, I need to keep it down.
I think what's allowed us to see as well is his fight IQ is elite. And I don't think he got a lot of credit for that in the previous weight division. I think people realised he was a talent. But now when you come up and you are giving away natural size advantage, it's easy to go, oh, it's just because he's too fast for them. Yeah, but fast isn't just throwing your hands. Fast's moving your feet and getting in and out of range. And it's just his fight management these days up this weight division. I don't know if it's because he's thinking it's a bigger guy, I can't afford to take one to land one.
Yeah.
We're just seeing him go to the next level.
I just think also now where his training camps are a lot more about improving than before. It's just miserable kind of way. Coming in the gym and just running off as soon as he can to go get some lunch and stuff like that. Where now he's staying in the gym longer, training with like some really good coaches like Barry, he's doing his hands and boxing. He does some really good work with Ashley as well, and like he's just levels just gone up a little bit. He's way more. He's one of those ones that say happy fights and dangerous fight, and he's happy. You know? He likes his creature comforts. Just follow him on social media. He loves his dog. Wants to walk his dog, and he's he likes that. But when he comes here, he knows he's got a thing to do. And weight cuts are always going to be tough, really, because it's always kind of the war weight. But the camp is way more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I used to think he was cursed, right? Because think of that year that he had, where he lost the fight with 24 hours notice in London. Then he's getting injured and all these types of things. Obviously, we saw what happened in the build-up to the Rome fight. It's just nice to see him out and active and doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, also for me, this was I think it was 5 weeks' notice, and I think it's the best thing for me as well. Because for me, sometimes with Nathaniel, the longer the fight goes on, the more anxiety sort of kicks in. It's the mental kind of stresses where now it's like, boom, I'll fight, boom. And he's one of those guys who's always in shape anyway. He doesn't need, but yet again, he's always asking me for reassurance. I mean, mate, even if you're like 80% of what you normally are, you're 20% higher than most people. You know? So but yeah, I feel like mentally him happy makes everyone around him happy as well.
When this name came about, Mohamed Nomov, what was your first thought? Because obviously not as known as opponent we were talking about as his previous.
Obviously, yeah, very I'm like, wow. So as soon as you think it from Kazakhstan, you kind of think, oh, is he more wrestler? But when you watch him and see from the Taekwondo background, and more of a striker, and as a stylist, I look at him and I'm like, man, this is actually, I don't, not would, fight's a fight, but it's again a nice, good matchup for Nathaniel. You know, I'm quietly confident. Yeah.
I feel like this one as well, that'll be 4 wins in the new weight division.
Yeah.
That's when you can start saying to the UFC and to the matchmakers, come on, he's a ranked opponent now. It's time to move forward. He's done exactly what you wanted him to do, but it's about keeping him busy. You know, I've got my eye. I've got one eye in London in March, and I feel like a ranked opponent there, maybe even that Lerone matchup for a ranked position,
100%.
works for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it doesn't even have to be a great, a flashy win. I still think he can stop. I think he can stop him in this one. But even if he doesn't, he gets the decision. Looks good. That's the thing with Nathaniel. He's been hitting a few decisions, but they've been great fights.
Super fights. Yeah, exactly.
Fights, he's never been in a boring fight. So I do think he does need, in my eyes, a little bit more push from the media aspect as well. Because this Naimov is like a massive star in Kazakhstan, massive following, massive support. He sells out stadiums to watch him fight. Like not even when he's just on TV and stuff. So I think as a country, that's one thing I find about England sometimes. Like we're not as patriotic as other countries. We should really get behind our fighters. We have like a youth champion, Leon Edwards, and I think we can potentially have a lot more. We have a lot of talent.
Absolutely.
In the UK.
I think you sort of mean the mainstream media, because obviously as a sports network covering the sport, we do, but the mainstream
media, even like doing some other things outside of fighting, a bit more that sort of stuff. I think it helps with just getting people to know the fighters, what they're doing outside of just training as well.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Well, Mr. Pickett, I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. Thank you very much for coming to join us, and thank you very much for the hugs as well. Loved them.
Thanks, Brad.
Top man. There he is. One punch himself, Mr. Brad Pickett.
I love that. I love that. A coach who cuts weight with his fighter. Fantastic.
Here's Magomed and Chimaev.
All good.
Interesting, as a Dagestani fighter, it's his striking, really, isn't it, that's been so impressive. We usually go to the wrestling when we talk about the Dagestani fighters, but he's striking.
It's like what Kamaru was saying in conversations this week about putting it all together. This guy puts it all together. He dropped the ball a little bit last year in the Blachowicz fight. Yes, he was injured in it, but that was his moment for me to really break out and really kick forward, and obviously he would have become champion on that particular night. He is a sensational talent, and it's going to be interesting to see how he responds against Johnny Walker, who is crazy, even though it's controlled craziness right now. The division's all over the place. This is a real opportunity for Mohammed and Ankalaev to punch his ticket, especially in front of home fans. I would class as home fans tomorrow night.
No, it really is, because like you said, the light heavyweight division has been all over the place. I mean, for two champions to get injuries that cause them to vacate a title is kind of unheard of. And obviously first with Yuri, he's coming back. We don't know how long Jamal Hill's going to be out for. So this really is a fight where the winner, do they just have to win? Do they have to win in impressive fashion? Then potentially gets the shot against the winner of Yuri and Alex, taking place in New York next month.
It's good though, the division, because for years we had the John Johns here, didn't we?
Oh, yeah,
and it was locked down.
What a change.
Yeah, and now with it being all over the place. Yeah, exactly. It makes it more exciting.
Make two defences, and that's brilliant. It's great. It makes it super entertaining. It means that there's a real turnaround in champions and opportunities and challenges. The thing with Ankalaev, though, he went into that fight with Jan for the vacant title as the favourite. He never lost. Let's just remind ourselves that was a draw. And yet he come out of it with the stigma of it being a bad fight. He may as well have lost spectacularly and got knocked out in the first round, and it wouldn't have damaged his reputation as much as that draw seems to have done. It just set him back so much. It's so important for him to hit the ground running. He can't afford to, hold Johnny Walker down and wrestle his way to a 15-minute decision, because he will continue to meander around that middle of the light heavyweight division. He needs a statement. He needs to make a statement and go, remember me, I was the guy last year you were all saying is the future of this weight class. Well, I'm back, and look what I've just done to him. Get me a title opportunity.
Here's Nathaniel Wood's opponent, Mohammed Naimov. He's about to hit the scales. Are you worried about activity in that light heavyweight fight that we've just been speaking about, by the way? Because obviously since the Blachowicz draw, we haven't seen Ankalaev, whereas Johnny Walker, he's been out and about getting his wins and doing his thing.
Do we know why we haven't seen him? Was it the injury?
That's part of it.
Do you know what? We had these conversations about John Jones being so inactive before he comes back and takes the heavyweight title. We've got other fighters on this card that haven't fought for a long time. Stipe's coming back after not fighting for 2.5 years. It depends how much that person's been in the gym. Sometimes, as Tom Aspinall spoke to us about, even his rehab process for his knee, it was the discipline. He was in the gym. He was working harder on his conditioning. So it's not always a bad thing. And I don't think he's been out a crazy amount of time for us to say, ooh, ring rust, huge inactivity, etc.
Yeah, and he's the type of fighter as well. He lives and breathes this sport.
Yeah, we've been doing it for years.
He's part of an incredible camp. They've built a championship-winning team around him specifically. So it's not like he's been away and he's sitting on the couch or whatever else. He lives and breathes this sport, and I just think there's a lot of pressure on him this weekend to do something and do something big. And the problem with that is, if you take a chance, if you go too soon, if you step in too quick against someone like Johnny Walker, he only needs one clean shot, and I think that's what makes that fight so entertaining.
But he went up against Jan Blachowicz, the Polish power. Jan sometimes only needs one shot. Let's not forget, he was the former champion. So there's, this sort of criticism and being hard on himself for not getting the actual win in that fight. Not an easy fight. Jan is not an easy fight. So probably being hard on himself, as well as maybe the fans being a little bit hard on him as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with the creativity of Johnny Walker. Just ask Paul Craig about that creativity. I mean, he had a leg kick caught, didn't he? And then got knocked out with a crazy little back fist thing. I don't even know what it was, but it was...
it worked.
It was a thing, and it worked.
It absolutely worked as well, yes. Listen, if you just joined us for the UFC 294 live weigh-in, they're coming through thick and fast. We are missing a couple of fighters as of yet. Abu Azatar, we haven't had him through. His new mate, Sharon Magomedov, we haven't seen him on the scales just yet. Only one miss, Victoria Dudakova, 0.6 over the allotted weight. Interesting to see if she's going to come back a little later. We'll keep you up to date with that. But when it comes to title fights, we've already spoken to Alexander Volkanovski. I'm sure that'll be available on our social media channels very, very shortly for you. But Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski, first two dudes through on the scales this morning. Absolutely smashed it to pieces. Well done to them. And of course, any concern that you may have had about Kamaru Usman hitting weight, coming in at 10 days' notice, no problem whatsoever. He looked absolutely sensational on the scales, to be fair.
Yeah, but even when he's not fighting, he walks around backstage with that open jacket on.
I wish
and
I
the
could
abs are
So if I
rippling
had
and
that
ripped.
physique, I would walk around with an open shirt as well. Yeah, of course.
Question, Justin Gaethje is here, obviously.
Yep.
Wasn't the backup fighter, but you've got to think he's got his eyes on a shot at the title, having that BMF belt now. So was he going to be here prior to his teammate Kamaru coming out here anyway, or is he here to support Kamaru? I was unsure of that.
He's here, obviously, with Kamaru as part of that camp coming over with Trevor Whitman. I don't know if he had plans, actually, but it would be interesting to see, get his take on that, because given the victory that he had earlier this year, you look at this, you look at lightweight in particular. Obviously, Islam's the king at the moment. Depending on this result, if Islam is successful once again, then we're looking at the other runners and riders. Mateusz Gamrot, we just mentioned him, he's weighed in. You would think that because of that, he's the front runner, but when you actually think of name value, star value, and this is no disrespect to Gamrot, he hasn't done it yet, he's a great talent, but he's not done it yet. Edge the guy, isn't he?
Yeah, it's the BMF. You know, and it's interesting. Again, I know MMA math doesn't work this way and whatever, but we saw Gaethje up against Khabib, he fell short. If Gaethje fights Islam, he's not Khabib, he's different, we know that, but it's that same camp and, you know, a similar style, if you like, and mentality.
But how much has Justin improved since then?
Well, no, but what I was going to say, is that a chance for Justin to say, well, I didn't get to beat Khabib, but I've kind of avenged my loss if I get a shot and I beat Islam. Would you think of it that way? I don't know. Maybe
he will. I think he would.
Maybe.
With all due respect to Khabib, Islam's favours his hands a lot more. His stand-up is a lot better. His boxing's a lot better than Khabib ever got to. So he would be more proficient on the feet and more willing to be on the feet with Justin Gaethje. And as we see in Justin Gaethje, not only against Poirier, but against Rafael Fiziev, he was absolutely outstanding on the feet. He's gone to a completely different level right now. So I like that fight. I'm hoping they're going to bump into each other over the next 48 hours, because I want to see that head-to-head, that face-to-face, because, listen, at the end of the day, this is a business built on big pay-per-view buys in the US. And Gaethje's a big star in the US. Bring him and Islam together, that makes perfect sense. Of course it does.
One thing that we never actually mentioned with Justin Gaethje, the guy's a flipping good wrestler.
He
just decides
good wrestler.
He just decides not to use it.
Very technical, but well said.
Well, why not when you can do those head kick
knockouts?
But his confidence is really growing as well. I remember speaking to him after that last Dustin Poirier fight, and he said, it's my team's belief in me that's helped me. And I said, well, do you not believe? He's like, I do, but it's their belief that makes me realise I can do it. And I just think that's growing and growing and growing now. And like you said, he's improved so much, hasn't he?
Oh, drastically. And I think it was that Rafael Fiziev fight that we saw in London that night when he went up against an elite kickboxer. Don't get me wrong, when I say he doesn't use his wrestling, defensively he does, of course he does. He keeps fights on the feet. It's the offensive stuff that he doesn't necessarily go to. That fight against Fiziev was one of those moments where you go, you're a special fighter. Of course.
Hang on a minute. Completely forgot about Charles Oliveira. He's only got a cut above his eye. What he did to Beneil Dariush, why doesn't he get to come back and fight him again?
This is exactly why this is the most stacked division in the entire sport. Lightweight is the most fearsome division in any live fight sport. It's incredible because you can keep going right down through the roster, down into the top 20. There's guys down there as well, so there's so many amazing fights to make. But also, it's going to come to a point as well. If Islam's successful on Saturday night, then Islam might say, oh, wait a minute. I've just given the guy from the weight division below the opportunity to become a two-weight UFC champion. Where's my opportunity?
Yeah, but I have an
Where's
opinion.
my opportunity to do that welterweight?
But I have an opinion on that, and I feel like that's the thing to do now. It's not enough to be a single-weight champion and wants to be a double-weight champion. But should he not have more title defences? There's still so many people he's not fought within the lightweight division. Unless it's a case of that weight cut's becoming really hard now. That's a secondary reason to go up as well as to get 2 belts. But
let me come back to this. We've got guests waiting. Let's get Javid Basharat in, shall we? Because he's midweight. I know that he wants to get and rehydrate. Javid, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah, look at this. This is the man that lives in Las Vegas now with a big smiley face. How is it treating you, life out in the States?
It's sunny out there, so it's all good.
That's why I moved to Los Angeles.
English well as bipolar, man. I've been there 20 years, it's a bit too long. I love it, I'll be back after the fight.
Well, obviously, moving out to Las Vegas has provided the opportunity coming through the contender series and what have you. And now we're here in the Middle East getting to perform once again on a big pay-per-view card.
Yes, the way I dreamt it, Now it's happening, and just grateful.
Don't matter the touch then, mate. We want to hear you as well as obviously see your fights. Okay, mate, go for it. Go on, as you say.
Yeah, just it's a great opportunity. You know, I was hoping to fight early in the year, and then September 23rd we were initially scheduled to fight. Now, even better, we moved to Abu Dhabi and we're fighting here.
Obviously, Victor Henry is the opponent. What have you learnt about him? What type of fights are you expecting from him?
Victor.
towards a title shot maybe in 2024. Now, this is obviously UFC 294. We're extremely excited about UFC 294. Of course we are. We're also excited about UFC 295. I mean, finish of this year for the UFC. 294, 295, 296. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. It's absolutely tremendous. But let's concentrate on New York, shall we? Let's get stuck into it, because we've been talking about the greatest of all time, and he's got an opportunity really to solidify that, like it's ever in doubt, but to take on the best heavyweight that there's been. Jones versus Stipe. What a fight.
Well, Stipe Miocic largely considered the best heavyweight of all time.
The most successful heavyweight we've ever seen.
Most successful. John Jones, as we talked about, the GOAT. No denying the GOAT. This is an exciting fight. Obviously seeing John Jones take and win the heavyweight title in his debut at heavyweight against Cyril Gane. Fantastic. But against Stipe, that's a whole different animal. Okay, Stipe hasn't fought for a long time, but let's not forget the caliber of work that this man's done. So I think this is where we're truly, and no disrespect to Cyril, but I think this is where we're truly see what John Jones is like at heavyweight. It was over a bit too quick in that first one to deduce too much.
And from a Stipe point of view, as Caroline just highlighted there, Nick, we ain't seen him for a long time. That inactivity, surely, at the stage of life and career that he's at right now, surely he's going to have something.
Of course, but then there's also the element that he's at a stage in his life, there's only, a small handful of occasions when he can get back into the octagon and perform. You could argue maybe he was a bit battered and bruised because these are big dudes got to get him thrown around inside there, and maybe the time away will help his body recover. He was spending some real time away from the sport, not training every single day, but he've known this is on the horizon. Once John Jones was confirmed for that fight with Cyril Gane for the vacant belt, Stipe would have known then, okay, they're going to come knocking for me next. So I'll get back into camp now and I'll slowly get back into it. I'm expecting a big performance from Stipe. I'm expecting it to be a very different fight from Cyril Gane. Because what we got with Cyril Gane was there was a route to victory that John could use, and it was the route of least resistance. And he took it.
Yes.
And he took it, and he accomplished it, and he became a heavyweight champion of the world. There is no route like that with Stipe. There's no just direct route. There's no hole in Stipe's game which he can exploit. The only hole potentially is lack of activity, age, take him into deep water. But that means we're going to see a completely different version of John Jones.
Do you believe, loaded question, do you believe that there will be a retirement at the end of this?
Or two.
Maybe even two. Maybe both of them call time. You know what I mean? I mean, John has been very vocal about, listen, I'm not going to do this forever. And he's taken the time to get to heavyweight. He's achieved the dream of becoming the champion. Now he's fighting the best heavyweight. There's a real argument that he might even call time himself if he is to be victorious. And it's not an easy fight. I mean, everybody seems to be talking Jones is going to win. No, he's not. Listen, this is a tough one. He's taking on Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
I believe, and certainly I think if he wins, I think he will sail off into the sunset and say, I've done everything I could do in this sport. I think he came back for something different, something exciting. He'd been through the light heavyweight division, held that title for such a long time.
It's like what you said about stepping up and becoming champs and becoming multi-weight champions. It
Daniel
seems to be
Cormier did
well,
it. Was that little bit? Well, DC did it. I want to do it. No, do you know what? And I think from when we heard John Jones was going up to heavyweight, and that was way before he even made his heavyweight debut, it was always about him and Stipe. That was always the narrative. Oh, actually, it was in Ghana as well, obviously, until he left the sport. But it was a lot of talk was about him and Stipe. That was the fight. So I think Stipe's probably been mentally preparing for this fight for quite some time. Not just since March when John lifted the title, but I think it would have been in his mind. But John Jones, he said it to me in the last fight when he won the title. He said, "I'm not going to be here for a long time. I'm coming back to do great things. This is a great thing." I think that might be the end for John Jones.
That's Nick's motto. That he's not here for a long time, just here for a good time, aren't you, pal?
Absolutely. I hope we're wrong.
Yeah.
I would love to see John stick around, because I think what he did at light heavyweight is being the youngest ever champion and then running through a roster of basically the Hall of Fame list of fighters that he beat to get onto the throne that he's on right now. I would love to see him employ that in this current heavyweight era and maybe face a Pavlovich, face a Blades, face a Aspinall, of course. That would be the dream case scenario. Is he willing to do another 18 months? Is he willing to do another 2 years on his career? He's earning more money than anybody in the UFC. I don't know. That's only a question John Jones can answer. I think the performance against Stipe will tell us a lot about, because sometimes if you are mentally checking out, if you're thinking, I'll beat Stipe, this will be my last fight, it can impact on your performance. So I just hope John Jones, listen, we've only just got him back, and I want him to stay around, because when you have someone who's the greatest of all time in your era, you know, you want to hold on to it as long as possible, because you know in a couple of decades' time, when the grandkids are asking you about the sport, you go, well, I was there when John Jones was doing his thing, and he was the greatest of all time, like the old hacks talk about Muhammad Ali.
But that's for us.
We've got John Jones to talk about.
Yeah, but that's for us as the fans.
So I don't want him to go.
I know, but how good to go off on a high. The way GSP did, the way Habib did. I mean, that's what it's all about. Not to just keep on going, and not that I'd imagine John would do that and see any deterioration, but what do you think his motivation is to fight those dangerous up-and-comers like Tom Aspinall, Pavlovich? I mean, would he want that, do you think? Obviously, we can't talk for him, but...
No, of course we can't talk for him, but we've spent enough time interviewing him over the years to kind of get a little bit of a take of the guy.
He loves it.
To do this game, you have to have some type of ego, don't you?
Yeah.
So if anybody creates doubt and maybe throws shade, Jones has cleared off because Pavlovich is coming through, or Aspinall's coming through. If that becomes a serious narrative and a big narrative, I wouldn't be surprised if he did call time and then get back off the couch again and say, whoa, you're all throwing shade on me. I'll show you. Come on then. Let's do it. Whoever rises from this crop of the Almeidas and the Pavloviches and the Aspinalls, whoever rises from that as the person, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if he just came out of the blue and did it all again. It's John Jones crying out loud.
Do you know what my dream would be? Somehow him and Ngannou fight. I don't know, like promotion-wise, I don't
say
see
never,
it
Caroline.
happen,
Never say
Money
never.
talks.
That's a big fight. That's a big fight.
It is. You just saw Anshul Jubilee just weigh in there. All good. Still waiting for Abu Azatar and Mike Breeden, and of course Shara Magomedov, which I'm not surprised about whatsoever. Whilst we're still on the UFC 295 train, obviously looking ahead to what's coming up in New York City. I know that we're going crazy on the heavyweight fight because that's an absolute belter. We've been mentioning light heavyweights. Obviously here at 294 we've got two light heavyweights with big title aspirations. We've got such an exciting fight. A guy that we all fell in love with, became champ, and then just did the incredibly honourable thing of saying, do you know something, let the division move on, I'm injured, I'll be back in a bit, lads. Jiří Procházka is who I'm obviously referring to, because I know we've had Jamal Hill do the exact same things following him.
Set a precedent there, didn't
yes,
he, to do the respectful thing.
Absolutely, and to have him matched up with Alex Pereira, who set the middleweight division on fire, and now obviously fell short against Izzy in the second fight, and now has stepped up great against Makhachev. What an opportunity for him to go into that elite club. Of two-time weight champions.
I know, but Yuri has spoken, I think it was this week or recently, just not really rating Alex's skills as a mixed martial artist. So I hope he's not underestimating him, because standing next to Alex Pereira as a light heavyweight, the man is a beast. I mean, he is huge.
How did he ever make middleweight?
Well, with great difficulty, and I think hence the reason we've seen him move up now at light heavyweight, where he looks very confident. He's smiling. He's now smiling. He doesn't look like he's going to kill everybody in sight.
You've seen him smile? I have never seen Alex Pereira smile. I've never seen him smile in my life.
Light heavyweight, and when he's around Glover Teixeira, he lights up.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
He does light up around Glover Teixeira. And look, Glover Teixeira has fought Jiří Procházka. Glover Teixeira is his coach. He'll have some interesting insights for Alex, but this is one where it's really hard to know which way it's going to go. Yuri's been out for a long time after he took the belt. We know he's quite an unorthodox fighter. He's got an interesting style, but Alex's kickboxing, his power, and that power at 205 is unbelievable. So I actually have no idea which way I think this fight's going to go, but I just know I'm looking forward to it.
I love the creativity of Procházka on the feet as well. You know, I genuinely think that these two styles will match. They're not going to go looking for each other, are they? Both of them like a fight. Yeah. It's going to be belting.
Listen, I know Alex has obviously got world-class kickboxing, some of the best kickboxing in the sport, but do not underestimate this guy. He's got seriously serious heavy hands, those spinning elbows he loves to throw, that whole Tong Po haircut that he's got rocking out. But this is the element that I want to pick up on, his submission game is outstanding as well. He is really strong on the ground. That is the big opportunity for me. Look at Alex. Alex's weakness obviously remains his ground game, coming from a kickboxing background, but he's so explosive. And you think about a guy who was killing himself to do 185, now letting his body really fill out into 205. It won't look like you'll you know, if you came to this sport late and you looked at it, you'd go, which is the guy who came up from middleweight, because they're both going to be evenly matched in there. Well, I think creative striking wise, double tick. Power wise, double tick. You know, strength and tenacity and the heart, double tick. I just think it's the ground game of Jiří that's making me lean towards Jiří. If it does hit the canvas, it's Procházka.
The division as a whole, as we were talking about moments ago, John had this division locked. And whoever came up against John, you always thought, well, fair enough, you've got your chat at John Jones, but you're going to come up short.
Well, there was a couple of fights towards the end where it could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
That was more John losing interest.
I think he's losing interest in the division and he needs to go off to heavyweight. Now, there's a lot of matchups there. I mean, obviously, Jamal Hill's still getting himself rehabilitated at the moment. When he comes back into this conversation, the winner of this here at UFC 294, there could be a legit conversation for them to come through. There's a few little names that you could chuck in there that are doing some really good things, and over the next 12 to 18 months, we could have some quality matchups. This used to be the stellar division, light heavy, didn't it? Way back in the day. In the olden days, it used to be the division that everybody used to get excited about. And it could be that again over the next 18 months.
Well, you're right, because they sort of have the power of the heavyweights almost, yet combine that with the speed of the middleweights, and there you get our 205 division. But let's say, for example, just sort of playing devil's advocate here, that Yuri gets the win, and then we've got Jamal healthy before the next match, if you like.
Don't ask me who wins, Catterall.
We get the fight that we were originally going to get between the two of them. I mean, that's exciting. Johnny Walker and Chimaev's exciting. Pereira and Yuri's exciting. I just think we're in for a real treat over the next several months in the light heavyweight division. I wouldn't be surprised if that belt continues to change hands, and hopefully not due to injury, but because they're all so close and evenly matched, but with their own individual styles within the division.
What's really good out of the 6-8 names that you would kind of put into that crazy mix for the next 18 months, 2 years, there isn't one standout star. They're all of a very similar kind of level. They've all had big wins. Most of them have had a little bit of a loss as well. So that's what makes it really interesting. There's not one guy you think, well, if he gets the belt, he'll leapfrog everybody to get the opportunity. They're all of a very similar level. Yeah. And what makes it exciting is who's going to emerge from this primordial soup at light heavyweight to become the main man.
What was that?
Primordial.
I need to check if that's actually...
Welcome to the Skill Free Kids.
I mentioned a little earlier on that we were going to create and put together the ultimate fighter. Sorry to nick that, Mr. White. But we're going to go through the attributes of many fighters that are on the current roster, right? Yes. Current roster only. Yeah.
No historical with best haircut? Best tattoo? Is that what we're doing?
Johnny Walker?
Best nails?
Does that contribute towards the performance?
Yes, of course it does. Of course it does.
Best looking fighter or best performing fighter? Which are we going for?
On the same page.
So this is the thing. If you're going to play along with this at home, they've got to be fighters on the current roster.
Active.
Yes. And what are you looking at me like that for? Why are you doing that? So active current fighters on the UFC roster, and what we are going to do, we're going to start with power.
Okay. So power.
So if you're going to pick power, then here we go. Then pick up first. What you reckon?
Power. Well, for me, power means someone that switches people's lights out, puts them to sleep, renders them unconscious with a single shot. And I think right now there's a clear guy to pick out on that list, and it's Pavlovich. Because that's what he's doing.
You're going heavy?
In the heavyweight division. He's putting people to sleep with one shot. He looks absolutely ferocious. And whoever you guys pick, nobody is going to look as powerful as this man. So, yeah, I've gone with Pavlovich. Yeah, I was tempted with Derek Lewis, most knockouts and everything else. But I think right now, Pavlovich is the man.
You're only allowed one answer there, and you stole mine as well.
Did I?
And mine.
So I just basically said the answer's going to be rubbish.
Yeah, no.
My answer's better.
No, I get what you're saying regarding the Pavlovich conversation, because he's got hands of concrete. But if you've obviously done the same as mine with Derek.
Derek
Lewis. He's got the most knockouts. Go for it, Karen.
Most knockouts. I mean, when that man lands, it's lights out. My first thought was Francis Ngannou. I was like, oh, he's not in the UFC anymore. But that man, I think, actually has registered, as far as they measure knockout power, the most power ever. But in terms of the UFC, got to be Derek Lewis. But then I went a little bit off-piste in my head, and I was thinking, what about relative power? You got someone like Sean O'Malley. When he lands, it's walk-off KOs.
Yeah. Solid.
So I was sort of going down that route as well.
You're going for pound power now. I like that.
Right.
Who's going
to? Derek Lewis.
I agree with Derek Lewis, man. If you think of, what are you rolling your eyes up for? Derek Lewis just has to touch you, and you're going to kick.
When was the last time he touched anyone and put them to kill?
Yeah,
but when he does.
When was the last time he actually did it? Sergey Pavlovich is doing it consistently right now. He's got the most power right now.
Yeah, it's a good contender.
So that's why I've gone with Pavlovich, and I believe Pavlovich remains the biggest choice here. Because right now, Derek Lewis, you guys, listen, this is the Ultimate Fighter of October 23. 2010, or wherever you guys have gone to. I'm standing by Pavlich, and I want to overrule both of you.
Okay.
Fair enough.
As you can see, there's other criteria there that was on the list. The submission skills. Caroline's going first this time, all right, before you start robbing everybody's answers.
Submission skills. Obvious ones here.
Listen, mine's incredibly obvious when it comes to the submission skills. Well, so we've got power. You've got Pavlovich. We've got two Derek Lewises.
So my fighter
submission
has
skills,
the power of Derek Lewis. It has the submission skills of Charles Oliveira. Most submissions in the UFC.
All day.
I mean, who else?
All day. I'm the exact same.
Are you?
I'm the exact same, Charles Oliveira, yeah.
There's a man here in the main event tomorrow night.
So pointing at me?
He's in the main event tomorrow night. That choked out your guy. Proved he had better grappling than your guy. Islam Makhachev, for me, is my grappling prowess for my ultimate fighter. So I'm going Makhachev. You guys are going Oliveira. I think that's another win for Nick, I've got to be honest.
Well, you can have
strength in numbers here, though.
Yeah, you can have your say. Listen, again, we've done this sensibly and logically. You've gone for the most.
Stats.
You've gone for the most knockouts in the heavy in the UFC, and you've gone for the most submission victories. All right. The proof is in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Submissions. Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev. I can see the sense is coming from Mr. Catterall and Miss Pearce.
Who's sub 2, everybody? Everybody at home? Who's sub 2? Islam subbed Charles.
Right then.
Oh, yeah.
Right then.
This is easy.
Who I'd chosen.
This is easy. This
gas tank.
Yeah. Come on.
Right now, no. If you look
Maybe
at
you go first this time.
Well, wait a minute.
Right.
If you looked at the criteria that we had there,
yes.
Right. So, chin, gas tank, heart. It can all be kind of intertwined into one. So you've got to be clever with your answers here, right? For this.
Go on.
So my gas tank, Merab.
Oh.
Great shout.
Good shot.
Now, if you look at the man's record, the reason why I've done
great
this,
shout.
the reason why I've done this is if you look at his record, he goes the distance a lot.
Yes.
Does Merab. He's constantly going 3, constantly going 5 when he's in those main events, and I don't know who's putting batteries in the back of him, mate, because he just keeps getting quicker as that fight progresses. So my gas tank, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of contenders. There's one in the main event this weekend.
Yes.
I've gone Merab for gas tank.
Okay.
What say you?
Colby Covington.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, for his cardio. He is the cardio king. You can't argue with that, right?
Yeah.
I think he's got 3 lungs as Colby Covington, hasn't he? I think he has. I think we need him
with an oxygen tank.
We need him medically checked for 3 lungs. It's a great shout.
Yeah, absolutely. I have gone the other half of the main event. I have gone with Alexander Volkanovski, just because he's the pound for pound best fighter on the planet, and I felt like if I was putting a list together right now containing the best attributes to make an ultimate fighter, and I didn't include the man I currently judge as being the best pound for pound fighter on the planet, it'd kind of leave the door open. And he's got an incredible gas tank on top of that. So do you know what? Out of the 3 sections so far, obviously I think I've won power and submission. Gas tank, I think that's a 3-way split. That's a draw. That.
Oh, you're giving that? Look, what's he going on about? Fantastic suggestions.
Yes.
For gas tank, as you saw on the list there, chin is up next. Right. Listen, there's some double-hard boys and girls in the UFC.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, I was going to go with Tom Aspinall because his chin's massive. But then
he said I
wondered whether Jimmy Hill criteria came into play here,
you can't have that.
Or whether it's somebody who's got a chin that can't be broken, that is constantly tested, that has never been stopped, very rarely been dropped, and for that reason I've gone with Max Holloway. Yeah. Sensational chin.
I had the same.
Have you now?
The same. Yeah.
Right
Max Holloway.
I haven't got the same. Right now, this is interesting that you've both gone this way, and I know why you've done that because, as we all know, it's never been dropped. All right, okay, cool. Now, let's cast our minds back to an opponent that Max Holloway fought. And Max Holloway's output in this particular fight was sensational. I've never seen anybody take as many digs on the chin as Calvin Kattar and stay in the fight. Yeah. Right? Yeah. If I'm building a chin, man, I want that concrete, whatever that is. I have no idea what that is.
Reinforced concrete, that's what that is.
Listen, Calvin's obviously been beaten a couple of times in the UFC. And he had that TKO loss when he hurt his knee. His knee. Yeah. But that chin, that is special. That is straight out of Hollywood, that Calvin Kattar chin, let me tell you. Max Holloway, you're right. Yeah. You're absolutely bang on to point that out because he's been in probably more wars than Calvin Kattar. Bingo. I just think that Max Holloway's output in that fight against Calvin and we're also in Abu Dhabi. It happened here, right? So I'm solidifying
Calvin
Kattar's chin. There you go.
You're clutching at straws, but
I'm claiming it. Final criteria for the Ultimate Fighter is heart. Go on. What have you got?
Molly McCann.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Shout, man.
Not only does she hang on. You're always talking about Molly. Let me talk.
Exactly.
No, not only does she show incredible heart in her fights, in the fight with, but she has a huge heart.
Absolutely.
That girl has an incredible heart. The love she has for the sport, for other people, for what she does. Molly McCann all day long.
That's a shout, you know.
Mega.
And do you know something? The interpretation of what heart is. I like the way that you kind of given us the criteria there of how you've come to the conclusion of Molly McCann, because that works. Yeah. Absolutely works. Go on.
Absolutely. I feel like I've let down my Scouse brethren there.
Mate, if you've not said Molly McCann now, you're in trouble.
Well, that's it. I'm in serious trouble. Yeah, I won't be able to walk down the streets of Liverpool if I haven't. But I haven't, unfortunately. I never took that into account. Yeah. But I judged heart on being someone that turns up every time, delivers, win, lose or draw, always on the roster, always active, just a freak of nature. So I've gone for the guy with the most activity in the UFC.
Oh,
I've gone with Jim Miller. 42 fights, 42 times. That man has walked to that octagon and thrown down like it's his first fight. That takes heart. That takes something very, very special. So I've gone with Jim Miller.
My interpretation of heart is anytime, any place, any weight, baby. That's where it's at. And if someone like Brian Ortega puts a chalk on you, and you decide to not tap and breathe through your ears and manage to survive and then get up and give him a good beating, you deserve the heart medal for me, Alexander Volkanovski.
So Volk's got gills.
Well,
Colby's got 3 lungs.
Yeah.
On that note, you've got to give Mo Makhachev a heart badge as well. I mean, not tapping to that neither in his last fight. I mean, huge heart. So I think it depends how you categorise the criteria, but I think they're all brilliant.
There you go. Right, that's how we've managed to wangle it all down. Power submission, gas tank, chin, and heart for the Ultimate Fighter.
Yep.
We've got 2 votes for Derek Lewis when it comes to power, 1 for Pavch, 2 votes for Oliveira on submission, 1 for Islam Makhachev. To be fair, I'm actually thinking Nick's right there because Makhachev did chalk Oliveira, but I'll let him have it.
Yeah, but it depends if you're doing a numbers game or most.
He loves MMA Masters, Nick. He loves MMA Masters.
Can we add one other category? The one you said, the best hair. I think just put the cherry on top of the cake. So have all those attributes, but
I can't comment on hair. I can't comment on hair at all.
But you get to create your dream person. What hair would you want?
Sean O'Malley, mate.
I'm going to say that as well.
If I could have Sean... Mate, the Sugar Show's wig is tremendous. Gas tank, we had Mirab, we had Colby, and Mr. Volkanovski. I like the way that Volkanovski's popped up in 2 different categories there, with me giving him heart, you've gone with Molly, and Jim Miller in there as well. And, of course, across the chin, Max Holloway and Calvin Cater. What say you? It's a little bit of fun. Don't get abusive.
Jump in the comments and let these 2 know that I will not comfortably.
Got to be current roster, though. All right? Got to be current roster to get yourself stuck into that. Molly's going to be on to us now. You've caused trouble now, man.
You've nailed it.
Got Molly's back.
Honestly, Caroline, you've nailed it, because if I'd have said Molly, that was it then. Oh, here he goes. Picking his mates. One thing I do want to clarify as well, before anyone jumps in the comments section, I'm aware that my favourite fighter wasn't listed in any of those sections.
Where was Shavkat?
Because, and I'll tell you why, he was runner-up in every section, and that's why he's the greatest. Because he combines every asset required to be the Ultimate Fighter in one golden 6'1".
You forgot about him,
Kazakhstani.
You forgot about him, didn't you?
He forgot
about his best mate. Absolutely.
No longer head of the Shavkat fan club.
Hey, I am
so disrespectful.
I am president forever. I'll see you in New York.
Talking about...
I've just got a bit of news on Victoria Dudakova, who missed weight earlier on. I alluded to the fact that we do obviously have a period of time of which she could come back onto the scales and see if she could shift that 0.6. Decided not to. All right. So Victoria Dudakova, who weighed in at 116.6 a little earlier on, she won't be reweighing. She'll be forfeiting 20% of her purse. The fight, though, is still on. Yeah. All right.
She didn't shave her head.
No.
Didn't do that.
That's your 0.6 of a pound.
That's it.
Is that how much hair actually weighs? I don't know these.
I don't know
these answers.
She's got long blonde hair. There's a good chance it is. Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's not and you're still short, then you screwed up, didn't you?
You've scalped yourself.
Can you imagine if you're still over?
Yeah, exactly.
Shocker. So yeah, that's a little bit of news on Victoria Dudakova. Okay. Everybody else has hit the scales and come through good. right at the start of the weigh-in show a little earlier on. Obviously, Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski made weight quite comfortably, and obviously they're off rehydrating, doing their thing, so we've got a title fight and everything's happy there. And Kamaru Usman came through looking incredible at middleweight, and obviously taking on Khamzat Chimaev, who's had trouble hitting the scales in the past, but that was obviously at welter and not necessarily at middle. But both of those guys are through. All the main cards sorted. We're still waiting for Abu Dhabi. And we are also waiting for the bullet, Shara Magomedov. So just those two fighters still to come through. I cut across you a moment or two ago. What was it that you wanted to say?
Can't remember.
Oh, right, no, fair enough. Right then.
I can't remember.
There
we
you
moved
go.
on.
Yeah. So as Nick was just alluding to there, that piece there on The Ultimate Fighter, if you want to comment and have a little bit of fun, you're more than welcome to do so. Get stuck into the comment section and get stuck in. If we glaringly, obviously, missed somebody.
It was by design.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say.
Go.
So you were talking about Shavkat kind of being the runner-up in all those categories, but it sort of brings me back to something that Kamaru Usman said yesterday at the press conference, and he said, and I think I mentioned it earlier in the show, I'm not the best, the absolute best, I think he said grappler or striker, but he said, I am the best everywhere. So sometimes you don't have to be that number one in all those categories to be the best, be the champion, because it's about mixed martial arts. I liken it to, I was a heptathlete, 7 track and field events to do over 2 days. You have to perform in all of them. You can't have a weak event, you don't win at the end of those 2 days. They have to be good everywhere. Even if you have a skill set that's going to obviously be the way in which you finish the fight, depends who you come up against. You have to be good everywhere, as we all know in mixed martial arts. So I think
what was your strongest event?
Long jump and sprint hurdles.
Was it?
Yeah.
Sprint hurdles?
Same.
100 metre hurdles.
Were you good at sprint hurdles?
110 for the men. 110 hurdles,
That's
yeah.
right. I was only good over 100 though, unfortunately, so I lost. Collectively though, it's a good point there that we've just made, that we picked out certain attributes. Yeah. Collectively, I think we all agree that John Jones is the greatest of all time, and he wasn't shortlisted in any category.
No.
However, I can make an argument for him in every single category.
Of course.
In every category, because of the body of work that he's done. I think in moments like Pavlovich, you stand out because of that's what you're known for. That's your biggest strength. Charles Oliveira, you guys both picked him because he's got more submissions than anybody else. Jim Miller, he's had more fights than everybody else. So I think it's combining all those attributes of those individuals, then morphs into a John Jones. That's what you get. It morphs into a Shavkat Rakhmonov, somebody who's got strengths in every single department. And that's how you go on and become one of the all-time greats.
It's blurring the lines, isn't it, between the disciplines? That's where the greats are, and that's what Kamaru's kind of alluding to, because he does it incredibly well. He does blur the lines from going from striking into wrestling into grappling exchanges. He is brilliant at just mixing it all together, as is Volk. Listen, we've got two guys here.
I was actually going to say, the main and the co-main we have, that's why it's so difficult to predict or even choose a winner for this one, because you've got 4 athletes at the top of the card in that main and co-main who are good everywhere, right?
And Clive. I'm just thinking of all the fighters now that's on that card. And it is. This is what it is. It's mixed martial arts. You're supposed to be, as you just rightfully said, Caroline, well-disciplined, well-schooled in all of them. Long gone are the days where you are just going to a karate gym and then you make the transition over. Kids now, they're going to mixed martial arts gym. They're doing all the disciplines, so therefore it just becomes fighting. Makhachev is probably one of the first generations of those types of characters, isn't he?
He was trained there from day one, Obviously, he does come from a wrestling-first background with Mike Grundy over in Wigan, and then he did some work with Tom in jiu-jitsu, and then obviously he's added hands later on. But you're right, my kids go to an MMA gym now, and it's full of 11, 12, 13-year-olds that don't know the individual disciplines necessarily. A striking class is a striking class, and it mixes kickboxing with boxing and taekwondo and karate, and then a grappling class mixes in jiu-jitsu with takedowns, with submission, with folk wrestling, with a little bit of everything else. And if we think we're blessed now with John Jones, wait until you see the guy who's pound for pound or the girl who's pound for pound in 2 decades' time, because they'll be doing things that John Jones could only dream about. The sport will move on to that level.
Well, he'd be 50-odd by then, mate. he won't be able to do it.
The level is just going up and up.
He might do a full George Foreman and come back in his 50s.
No, the level is just going up and up and up.
Absolutely.
And young fighters that are starting out now are starting out as mixed martial artists. They're not necessarily coming from one art per se, and it is going to be exciting.
Well, Dana White kind of highlighted this in the press conference yesterday when he was talking about fighter attitudes too. Not necessarily just fighter attitudes, but coach and camp attitudes, all those types of things. It all boards into what we're currently experiencing and we'll be experiencing Saturday night. Now, main event, So we have a little relook because we do have data. Obviously, in the core main, we're kind of guessing a little bit of how that's all going to play out, and that's bringing to the excitement. I suppose the data that would be given from February is adding to the excitement of Volkanovski's attempt once again to try and become a lightweight king against Islam Makhachev. And you highlighted to him when he was stood next to us that round number 5 is going to continue that momentum into round number 6. It's not round number 1 on Saturday; it's round number 6. Me and you had different opinions of who won the fight. Was in February. We watched it back countless amount of times, and that round number 4 was incredibly close.
Well, that's it. It comes down to round number 4. That was the deciding round, the swing round in many people's eyes. Whether you thought the ground assault, the back control from Islam was more dominant, or the energy and the punches, albeit punches over the shoulder coming from Volk, was what caused more damage. And it's how you interpret that round. The most important thing for me in terms of Volk, and I want to get that energy from, is that he won the 5th round. So if this is the 6th round, the momentum, you think that Volk wants to take that momentum into this first round. What we knew that Volk was going to was going to have heavy hands, was going to land shots, but what we didn't kind of into Islam's boxing is outstanding. You've seen it there, lead left hand, right down the middle. He couldn't miss with it at times. Really hurt Volkanovski, rocked him on his heels many times. Then, of course, when it came to the ground, this is what we got from Volk then, the explosivity, getting back to his feet more often than not, something most people haven't been able to do against Islam, including Charles Oliveira. But it was the relentless takedowns from Islam combined with the boxing. There's a heavy knockdown there from Volk from the right hand. They can both hurt each other. They can both live with each other on the ground. They've both got incredibly insane cardio gas tanks. But they both come out of that fight thinking, I believe they've both come away thinking, I can give more. I can put more into that fight. I can get the finish. They both believe they can get the finish. They're both coming into the fight tomorrow night to get a finish. We ain't getting 5 rounds again. I don't think it goes past 3 rounds.
From an Islam point of view, that's the first time professionally he's completed 25 minutes. First time he's ever done that in 20-odd fights. He's going to obviously now know that he can. So he can go at a quicker pace. And obviously he's going to be asked to go at a quicker pace, I think, from Volkanovski when this kicks off tomorrow night.
And also, you said about we have data now on this fight, but they have data and they know how each other feel. For example, Islam said to Volk right after, he said, "You're small, but you're strong." And he said in the press conference yesterday, I couldn't knock him out, maybe I choke him out this time. And Volk turns around and he said in the corner, didn't he, during that fight, he said, "It's not that strong." They said, "How strong is he?" "It's not that strong." I'm sure it's strong, but it probably not to the level that he anticipated. So they have that data. So for both fighters, they both have that knowledge going into it now. Do they make adjustments? Do they try and do what they did better? But I do agree it's not going the distance. I think one of them is going to put a finish on this fight within the first couple of rounds.
I love the fact that there won't be a filling out process.
No need.
Just straight on in. Right, here we go. Abu Dhabi.
Yep. But he's not fought for 2.5 years.
It's
a big gap before that as well.
That's a guy that rolls deep as well. Talk about an entourage, my goodness. But you're right. He came into the UFC with a lot of noise, a lot of momentum. They had obviously a big fallout, big issue on Fight Island, but we haven't seen him in 2 years. When we did see him, he lost as well.
All that time to be sitting on that loss, I know that drives a fighter crazy. I think there was visa issues and other things, but I'm not sure why that extended a period of time that he's had off. I don't know if you do.
Well, listen, he's had since he signed with the UFC, he's had 7 scheduled fights. He's fought twice. He's 1-1. So, if he's going to do anything in this sport, and he's got a big reputation, but if he's going to do anything in this sport, he's got to get active. He's got to start fighting more frequently.
Still waiting for Mike Breeden and Sharda Magomedov to weigh in here at UFC 294. Let's get back into the event because that's what a lot of people are talking about. It's nice to see the buzz, isn't it, in and around weigh-in day. Obviously, this is a stressful day of eating weight and making sure everything's ticking. But you can just start to feel the energy in this room. Hopefully, it's coming through on the screens at home whilst you're consuming this over your Cocoa Pops in the morning. As a fight, and this was beautifully highlighted yesterday again, very rarely do we get champion versus champion because of the weight categories and all these, the way that the UFC set up. To have a champion against a champion, which we experienced in February, to get another go at it. We are genuinely witnessing history. It's very rare that this stuff happens.
But also, Islam said it this week, right, as well. He said, the pressure's on me. He doesn't lose his belt. If Alex loses this fight, he's still got his nice shiny belt from the featherweight division. He's scheduled to fight Ilia Topuria in January if he's sort of unscathed from this one. Islam loses his belt. So he, in his words, he said, I've given him a second chance now. He should be thanking me. You know, and he thinks he's just sort of coming in for the payday, so to speak. But we don't often see it. We're in for a treat. Islam also said that friends, family, etc. were originally saying, we don't want a ticket. We've seen that fight in Abu Dhabi. Now they're all hitting him up for the tickets. Like, well, we're back in Abu Dhabi, but we haven't seen that fight. That was in Perth.
Yeah.
So,
and I think there's more questions over this one. But it was conclusive against Charles, wasn't he? And I think anybody that saw that fight, you go, it's probably...
Yeah, but I don't think we saw the Charles that we normally see. So I was still looking forward to it. I'm still looking forward to that fight happening potentially at some point. But you're
and Charles
right.
had earned the right to be there after his win against Benil.
But you're right. I think the level of excitement from a lot of people, because of the nature of their last fight being so close, is at another level.
Yeah. And I like Islam saying, because we're paying a lot of credit here to Volk for doing this last minute. We have seen champions in the past say, whoa, you're changing an opponent on me, we have week or 10
John
days
Jones
or
on
whatever.
On occasion.
Yeah.
That's not happening, sunshine. But Islam's obviously just gone, whatever, man. Let's rock and roll.
I got a funny thing to say. Did you hear that Habib basically came out and said, if King Kong could make weight, Islam fights King Kong?
I heard that he couldn't, though.
No,
I heard that he couldn't hit
Islam
155.
came out and said, well, if DC makes weight, I'll fight DC. I don't know there's much chance of that. But the point is, Kamaru said it, fighters fight. Dana White loves the fact Islam said to be the best, to continue to be the champion, you've got to beat the best. So.
Yeah. They're both fighting men, and they're both. And we talked earlier about Volk being at the peak of his powers. Islam truly believes he's the best fighter on the planet, pound for pound. So if any man can get on the scales and line up with him, he's willing to take them on at any opportunity. This is not a guy that has to go into camp to switch his brain back on. He's always in camp. Islam is here to follow on Abdul Manap's work, which he did with Habib. Islam is now the guy to come forward and be the main face of Dagestani MMA, let's say Eagle MMA, and he will take on all comers. And I think the fact that there is still people like me and many others saying, well, I think Volk probably won that, it was very close. Islam doesn't want that. He doesn't want that on his resume. He wants to clear that up, and the fact that he gets to do it late notice after doing a full camp, brilliant. Bring him in. Let me get rid of this little guy, and then I'll crack on with my career.
Because they're very different opponents. You're preparing for a submission specialist, long and rangy in Charles Oliveira, and then you get a shorter, stockier, probably stronger fighter. You fought before, obviously, but that wasn't. You've got to switch your mindset.
And I know that we're highlighting the fact that this might be a bit more of a sprint than the first fight, but traditionally, Volk does go the distance.
Yes.
Over a period of time, whereas Charles Oliveira is a sprinter. It's 10 minutes normally, isn't it? It's you or him. So the mentality of the length of the fight that you've got to prepare for. Too. I'll tell you an interesting thing, and I'm going to bang the drum for this. If he is successful at the weekend, Islam Makhachev, I know that we've got a welterweight title fight coming up with Leon and Colby, and we're all extremely excited about that. It's going to be tremendous. But I think he deserves the opportunity to go up and attempt to fight the winner of that. I know there'll be people in that division like Bilal.
I was about to say, poor Bilal, are you pushing him back again?
But I'm just trying to think there, the attitude of Islam Makhachev to say, yes, Sam.
Yeah,
I'll take this on 10 days' notice, no problem whatsoever. And then I know that it's his dream to go up and try and become a two-weight world champion. I just think off the back of what happens in December with Leon and Colby, I think the victor of that versus Islam Makhachev is absolutely gigantic, and we've got some really significant nights coming up at the start of next year, haven't we? With UFC 300, obviously Saudi Arabia now, and all these places where you could put that particular fight. I think that's a real. I think he would, if he is to be victorious, he deserved that.
My issue, and I agree with what Caroline said earlier on this, he's not done enough at lightweight to, for me, facilitate a move up to another weight class. There's an awful lot of people he hasn't beaten. An awful lot. He's only beaten 2 guys ranked in the top 10.
I'm not saying leave the division. I'm just saying have the opportunity to go and do
I know, but what I mean is, if you do that, he's only fighting once a year as it is. So you do that. If he goes up and fights for the welterweight belt next year, well, we might not see him again until maybe he does it in Saudi Arabia. We might not see him until October in Abu Dhabi. So now you've got an entire lightweight division, the best division in the UFC, the strongest. You've basically got an entire roster there just going, well, we've got to wait for him to go and do the welterweight thing. Then when he comes back in October, one of us will get a shot. I don't know. I think the difference with Volk is he kind of cleared out of featherweight. He beat Max
and he's active
17 times.
And he'll keep both divisions busy.
He's so busy. He's so active. He's jumping into fights with top contenders. He's facing his top contenders. Then he's taking opportunities like this. Islam's in a different situation. So In the future, absolutely. Next, not for me. I think I'd like to see Islam defend, if he's successful, 2 or 3 defences in 2024, and then this time next year, when we're here in Abu Dhabi, when he's making his, fourth or fifth defence, say, right, okay, now let's realistically talk about Islam realising his legacy and going up to another weight division. I think we're just a little bit premature yet. He's just not beaten that many guys at the top of that lightweight roster.
And I agree with Nick, but I'd also add to the equation that if, for example, let's throw it out there, Volk wins, is there a trilogy to be spoken of then?
100%. UFC 300, done. Like,
how funny though to have won the belt and then all your fights are just rematches.
But
it was meant to be Charles and then Volk.
But I think I remember when Chris Weidman beat Anderson Silva, and in the press conference afterwards he said, "I've won part 1." He knew there and then. You don't beat an Anderson Silva and end that legacy and not have to do it multiple times. Likewise, Volk with Max Holloway. And I think when you've got potentially a rivalry where it's 1-1. Even if Volk was to knock him out sensationally in the first 30 seconds, there's still got to be that, oh, wait a minute. The champ gave you an opportunity at late notice. Yeah. We're going to run this back for the trilogy in and UFC 300's in what, March, early April? Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Lots of moving parts.
Listen, there's lots of moving parts there, and there's also lots of moving parts with the connection of the co-main event, obviously, with a replacement opponent, Kamaru, coming in. And you highlighted it before, Kamaru's got to win over the current champion in Sean Strickland. If he can beat Khamzat Chimaev, that narrative is there. But before we get to that narrative, I just want to talk about Dricus du Plessis, right? Yeah. Because we live in this time of recency bias, don't we, where we all get carried away with the actual moment.
Of course.
And we make demands on these fighters. Well, in order for you to get your title shot, or in order for you to get your moment, you've got to deliver us something. Dricus du Plessis has delivered what we wanted.
Big time.
Yep.
He went in against Robert Whittaker, who we all said, he's the next one down from Izzy. Yep. That's at the time, that's what we were all saying, or next one down from Alex. He's absolutely the guy. He went in there, and he absolutely dominated him. It's not like he's just edged through something. He's gone in there and put manners on a top guy.
And not only that, he's been so active. Dricus du Plessis has been so active. He did what he had to do. They got them in the octagon together, him and Izzy. They faced off. There's a huge amount of animosity. That storyline doesn't go away. And then he was injured. Not his fault. And then it moves on. It moves on. No one a lot of people didn't anticipate that Sean Strickland wouldn't get the belt. Izzy's now taking a bit of a hiatus. We're talking about Kamaru potentially in that belt warm if he gets past Khamzat and moves out. There's lots of if, whats and maybes here, but I feel sorry for Dricus. I really do, because I feel like he did everything he could do to put himself in that spot.
Yeah.
And now suddenly this is the title eliminator tomorrow night.
Well, when you've put a lifetime's work into something and you get to the stage, you deliver the moment, we all wanted it.
Yeah.
And then you get to the stage where it was kind of rushed a little bit. Right, Sydney. Your title shot's going to be Sydney. Yeah. And for him to then say, hang on a minute, I'm a bit banged up from the Whittaker fight. Yeah. I need to get this sorted out and this sorted out. He's absolutely, in my opinion, well within his rights to say, I'm not going to waste this moment now. I spent all my life getting here. So I'm just going to take my time. I can't make Sydney. If you want me to do it in Abu Dhabi, if you want me to do it in down the line, no problem whatsoever. I just think that he has done everything that we all wanted from a top contender, and he should be next. But we know that that's not how this game works. We know that's not how it works.
Also, there's an element of, well, why should the whole division go? Oh, we'll wait until you're ready then, pal.
Well, no, you wait one
life
fight.
Moves on. Sport moves on.
No, but they did. Strickland took the fight.
Yeah, and Strickland beat
Adesanya. Why isn't he next?
Yeah,
because they've had to put a middleweight title fight together here at late notice with the former welterweight champ Kamaru Usman, who probably went, what's my reward when it beat Khamzat?
Yeah.
But we're talking here about 2 ranked welterweight fighters, one of them getting the shot of the middleweight belt. They're not ranked middleweight fighters.
But they're massive stars.
I know. We know it's not how it always works.
Hold that thought on middleweights.
Here's my guy.
His mates on stage. Here we go.
This is the bullet. This is one interesting character, ladies and gentlemen. 11-0 in his career, 10 knockouts on there as well. Very controversial. He's got quite a few wins in modified rules MMA as well. When you consider that, he's got actually 16 fights undefeated, but a very truculent character. He's had some issues with the law back in Russia. He's had some issues in jiu-jitsu tournaments where he's punched opponents during a tournament, been thrown out of jiu-jitsu tournaments. He is a fiery character, based out of Thailand. But I'll tell you what, it was on Fight Island a few years ago when I said, look out for this guy. And I talked about Shavkat Rakhmonov ahead of his debut. I'm saying it again. Look out out for this guy. He's the curtain jerker, first on. He's an interesting dude, to say the least.
Long time to go before he makes the walk, though, isn't there? You know what I mean? Something might go off in the hotel later on or something like that. God knows.
Exactly.
God knows. But as you just witnessed yourself by looking at the fella, if you thought Khamzat Chimaev was a bomb baddie, there's another one. Yep. He's probably playing the sequel.
We've got a few of them on this card, haven't we?
We have got a few, yeah. And he's taken on Bruno Silva, who, of his 23 wins, he's got 20 knockouts. Both these guys don't do submissions, they just do knockouts. Don't blink in that face fight, I'm telling you.
Question for you on the men and core men here at UFC 294, right? Which would be the bigger late replacement victory? Kamaru stepping up to take on Khamzat Chimaev? Or, when I say bigger, maybe more surprising. Let's go more surprising.
Well, that's a different question.
Okay, then. Kamaru stepping up to take on Khamzat, or Volk coming in to take on Islam Makhachev. Which one would you be surprised with more?
Well, I don't think either would surprise me, because each late replacement has every bit of ability to do it.
Okay.
So I preferred your first question.
Okay, then.
Which was it? It was more about...
which is the bigger?
The bigger. I think the bigger is Volk because of what's at stake.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Yeah, because there's not only solidifying for me pound for pound status right now, there's also, okay, Volk's now in the GOAT conversation. Volk is now in a conversation with the likes of John Jones and Nunes and, you know, these doubleweight, Conor McGregor, these doubleweight champions who've achieved so much. He becomes part of that conversation. So absolutely Volk is the bigger win. But I thought Volk pinched it back in February, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. But neither would Kamaru surprise me either.
Final athlete hitting the scales with 20 minutes to go with UFC 294 weigh-in.
Down to his shreddies.
Here comes Mike Breeden.
Keep those elbows up, Mike.
Your towel. Oof, that's a bad miss.
Wonder if that will still go ahead.
3.5 pounds.
Yeah.
Mike Breeden there with against Anshul Jubli. Of course.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, we will obviously keep you across that. A little earlier on regarding weight misses, Victoria Dudakova missed. She's forfeited 20% of her fight. Pearce, the fight that she's involved in will remain on. And we will keep you across everything that happens administration-wise with Mike Breeden and Anshul Jubli. They're the only two misses from today's UFC 294 weigh-in. Everybody else came through. Title fights in the book. They were the first two fighters through the card. Obviously, Kamaru stepping up last minute, no problems whatsoever. He's done his business, as did Khamzat Chimaev. Well done, Khamzat. Super stuff. And the rest of the card all came through good. All the British athletes, Mohamed Makhachev and Nathaniel Wood and Javid Basharat. We're claiming him. He came through as well. So, like I said, only Mike Breeden and Victoria Dudakova missing weight. Dudakova, their administration's already done 20% Pearce forfeit, and the fight does.
And Mike's not making weight, let's be honest.
Yeah.
No, he's not
That's
making
a negotiation backstage. No, he's not making weight.
Absolutely not. We don't do predictions on the show much.
I'm about to talk to them all later. Don't make me.
I'm not going to make you do that. What I'm going to say is, men and core men just to the side. We'll come back to it in a quick second. Give me your hotly anticipated fight. What you're looking for? What you're looking forward to seeing?
I think main event. Alexander Volkanovski. Which
forget men and core men.
Oh.
Rest of the card. Which is your one that you're looking forward
to? Ooh, rest of the card. I'm looking forward to that Ankalaev and Johnny Walker fight.
With you.
Makhachev. I'm here for Mo Makhachev, baby.
Top of the shot,
on
Mo Makhachev.
That train.
Okay then. This is what I will ask you then.
Yeah.
Main event, go the distance or not?
No.
No chance.
Core main event, go the distance or not?
No.
No chance.
We got fire.
No judges required tomorrow night.
We have got absolute fire coming your way, and you're going to want to tune into this, of course. Prelims get going from 5 p.m, with the main card getting going from 7. That is how your main card shapes up, and everybody came through on weight today. TNT Sports 2 is your destination, as is Discovery Plus. Like I said, 7 o'clock for that main card, and the cherry on top of that bad boy cake is the lightweight world title, as Islam Makhachev defends once again against the featherweight king Alexander Volkanovski. We've got a little bit of added extra for you. Oh, yes, that's right, because as well as us being in attendance and Caroline bringing you all those fantastic backstage interviews and what have you from the event at UFC 294, if you head to TNT Sports 5 and Discovery Plus, you get a little watch-along. You've done one of these watch-alongs before, haven't you?
Yeah, mega.
Yes. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Well, this time around, your old mate, Blake Harrison, is going to be hosting the watch-along. Carl Frampton's going to be involved. Tom Aspinall's going to be involved. And Beast Mode, that's right. Adebayo Akinfenwa is also going to be there. There's going to be a plethora of UFC fans in attendance for the watch-along. So, you can obviously watch the fights, have the watch-along, join in with the conversation. This is the place to be when it comes to the UFC. No better place than TNT Sports and Discovery Plus. All right, so make sure you get stuck into all that. Plenty of backstage interviews from the ceremonials coming up a little bit later on as well across all the socials. We are on it, like they're on it, and we can't wait to bring you this event. Make sure you come and join us for the prelims from 5 p.m. tomorrow night.
Two reigning UFC champions collide in a true super fight.
Islam Makhachev. This guy's so dominant.
Alexander Volkanovski
Trying to take the lightweight belt.
Khamzat Chimaev.
This kid is special.
He's a ball of fire. When you let him go, he just destroys everything in his path.
Kamaru Usman, he is one of the best of all time.